What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios. It's time to make a decision as to what tunnel option I'm picking. I weighed my options, made the calculations, and it's time to get building. But that's not the biggest thing going down this week. I think it's time to officially start building the main bridge. This one is a lot more complicated than the small one, with all the debris and battle damage on it. I also really have my work cut out for me because this thing needs to hold up an entire battle, filled with minifigs, explosions, and vehicles. But before I tackle all that, if you're tired of waiting for every Sunday to come around for these updates, and you'd also like access to exclusive content, join my Patreon. I have all kinds of good stuff going on over there. I also have two massive secret projects that are getting released in December, but Patreon members are already getting to see what's going on. So if you want to get a little peek into the future of Coconut Brick Studios, I'll put a link to my Patreon down below in the comments. All that being said, don't forget to execute Order 66 on that like button, and let's get building. I left you guys on a cliffhanger last week as to which tunnel design I was going to go with, so we're going to start with that. I need to extend the tunnel back even further, so in go more plate and pillars, but this time I made sure everything was straight so there weren't any repeats of what happened last week.
No, don't like that.
With either option, I wanted the tunnel to extend further, and I even thought about having a giant CIS J1 proton cannon coming out of the mouth, but that didn't really make sense logistically, so I'm going to save that idea for the city. I felt like the inner walls looked a little bleak as well, so I added a very unnecessary jog in the pipe just to make things look a little bit more interesting and cover up more of the wall. In goes the black wall, and I bet you can probably guess what tunnel option I decided to go with. I took quite a while deciding what to do, as I really wanted to make sure I put the best option in for myself in the mock, and I want to thank you all who weighed in with your opinion in last week's update as to what I should do. I kind of ended up combining what I liked about both options, but I'll talk more about that later. The rock wall is going to continue up and around the tunnel entrance. Building things into rock work has its challenges, but it can look so cool having something built into your mountain or wall. And I'm really interested to see how this turns out because I've done this whole tunnel in the mountain thing a couple of times, but never at this large of a scale. It was difficult starting the rock work right above the entrance. I need to remember to start adding more snow patches into the rock since we're above the shelters the bridges were providing. And speaking of bridges, now that I'm above the tunnel, I can start to figure out the final height of this rock work, and because that's one of the main reasons I haven't started the big bridge yet, is I don't know how tall I want this rock wall to be. That's it for rock work, and now it's time to tackle the main attraction of the whole mock, the big bridge. It's gonna look a lot like the other one I'm building, but on steroids. Plus, this one has been through multiple battles, so huge chunks of the bridge are gone, and there are broken vehicles and debris all over it. I want to build broken sections into the bridge, so I'm going to create an outline of a hole with wedge plates and try and make a shape that looks both cool and realistic. I'm not really sure what's going to go underneath these wedge plates right now since these bridges were pretty thick and I'm pretty sure they weren't hollow. So I thought it might be cool to have some broken wires or pipes poking out into the gap, or maybe some rebar pieces to represent parts of the bridge that didn't get ripped away. This first section is going to have two broken areas. I'm not going to try to recreate the same holes in the same places that are on the bridge in the reference photos since the battle takes place further back on the bridge and the part I'm building is actually further up, closer to the city, since I didn't want to have to build 6 feet of bridge, and we don't really know what the sections up by the city look like. But I mean, who cares if the holes are off? All that matters is that this looks and feels like Megito. The rest of the building is pretty standard bridge stuff, but man, let me tell you, these bridges eat up so many of the 2x2 slopes, like a ridiculous amount. I hate it when I'm building a big mock and it randomly needs hundreds of some piece that I'm just never going to need in bulk again. That happened with Coruscant as well. I needed over 1,000 of the macaroni bricks for the pillars of the Senate building, and now they're just sitting around taking up space. Oh well, such is life. I had a fun idea I wanted to do for the backside. Since this bridge is the only thing connecting two giant cities together, I figured there'd be lots of pipes and wires running through it, supplying electricity, water, and other goodies. So I'm adding some red 2x2 and 2x1 round pieces to represent pipes or wires that look like they're running through the middle of the bridge. I went with red since most pipes and wires are bright colors, since you want to have your pipes and wires be bright colors so they're easily noticeable and people know to be careful with them. You definitely don't want to cut into these. Let me know in the comments what you think of this pipe idea. I'm going to tile off part of the bridge floor as well. I haven't really talked about why I picked the colors I did. At first glance, you might think the bridge floors on Megito are light gray, but that's because of the snow. You can see here as Bakara and the boys stop to take out Ki Adi Mundi during Order 66, there's a close-up of the ground and it's definitely dark gray. And since the ground is dark gray, I didn't want the entire bridge to be the same color, so I went with light bluish gray for the walls, sides, and underside supports for contrast and to make the details of the bridge stand out more, since if it was all one color and that color was also the same color as the mountain, this would be a pretty boring mock to look at. All right, let's see what's been going down. So I got this tunnel entrance fully installed. You can see I've started to cover it with rock. Really liking how this looks. Like, it feels and looks very natural to me. Everything's fitting together well. I made sure to scoot the rockwork back a little bit right here just to expose a bunch of the side of the tunnel, because I want to really emphasize the fact that this like was built into the tunnel. You know, it goes back off in this direction. You can see, looking at it from here with the rock kind of molding up around the sides and up on the top, you definitely get that vibe. So very happy with how this is all coming together. And then you got that little pipe there with the jog. I would like to add some more detailing inside here, so if you guys have any suggestions, let me know. Concordia Eclipse brought up an interesting point about how the snow just stops right here and doesn't carry on inside. I did that on purpose because I want it to seem like the tunnel is kind of heated or warmer than out here, so you know, it just melts away. And I wanted to add some vents in the floor to either represent heaters or some kind of drain so that when the snow does melt, it has somewhere to go. The problem with that is I only have one layer of plate and tile right here. So if I were to put like those little 1x2 grills right here, you would see the dark tan filler plate underneath, and I felt like that might look weird. I might still try it just to see how it looks. Now, why did I go with this tunnel option? Because, you know, I gave you guys those two options, the one that kind of curved away and the one with the black back. I ended up kind of combining the two, and the reason I went with this option is because if I were to curve the tunnel, it would have been a massive tunnel wall. Like, I would have had to have curved it back to here and then curved this side as well. And since I have lights on the front here, I would have had to have run and lit up this entire wall, this wall as well, which would have been a lot of money, a lot of effort, and a lot of work, which I'm fine. I'm all for giving my best effort into something, but it just felt like it was unnecessary because this is a side build. Like, I know this is the main focus of the series right now because nothing else is really in, but you guys haven't even seen how big the city's going to be up here, how big the bridge is going to be. That's where all the main action is happening. And this is really just, this was just supposed to be like a side build to add some extra length to the series to make this even more interesting and even cooler. So I didn't want to put all that money and effort into something that, you know, you would really only see for maybe 30 seconds or maybe not even notice like what it was doing or what was going on here. Because if you look at this, it looks like a realistic tunnel. I feel like this gets the point across, and I made sure to scoot the black part of the wall pretty far away from the light. You can see there's a pretty big gap there, and I did find this picture of a tunnel where even though it's lit up, there's still a black wall there. So, you know, this is definitely something that could happen. Plus, it's still pretty deep. Like, you still get the idea that this is a tunnel. Like, I may have vehicles and guys running around in and out of here. So I think this is the best of both worlds. Now, moving on to the main bridge. This thing has been so much more work than I thought it was. I've been working on this for days and it's still not done. But I mean, this is the main bridge. I wanted this to be massive because there's going to literally be an actual battle taking place on it. So it's coming together really good. I'm liking the battle damaged sections. However, there are some things I do want to change. I like the shape. It looks good. It looks realistic. What I don't really like is how straight the walls of the hole are. You know, it kind of looks like a big shark came in and like took a bite out of this, and that's obviously not what happened. So I want to make the walls of this hole more rough. So I think what I might do is scoot some of these layers of wedge plate that direction, so it kind of like, you know, the crater or the hole kind of slopes that way too, and it's not just flat down but kind of goes at an angle. I don't know, just to make it look like this bridge didn't break so cleanly. Now, the pipes on the back, I'm still liking the idea and I'm gonna keep moving in this direction. However, I need to change and adjust some things because I'm just not happy with how it's looking right now. I'm wondering if maybe it's because there just aren't enough pipes. Like, when I look at this, it just feels disproportionately small to the rest of the build, and I'm honestly not even sure why. So I think what I might do is add 2 more of these larger 2x2 pipes on either side, right here, and then move these smaller ones to right here. I also realized I totally messed up the back of this bridge. This is the first bridge section that is like the end of a bridge that I've made. Everything else has been covered on both sides, so I accidentally left this filler brick exposed right here, which actually kind of works out because I wanted these wires or pipes to be partially covered up by the top of the bridge. So I just need to extend the back of this, one more stud this direction, and then, you know, add in more of the retaining wall and tile. To adjust the holes in the bridge, I'm going to try tapering the rows of wedge plates away from the opening so the hole gets wider the further down it goes, making it look like more of the bottom got ripped out. I honestly wanted to know what could have blown giant chunks of the bridge off in such weird shapes. If I didn't know any better, I might think the Zillow beast dropped by and thought the bridge was a snack. I'm doing my usual tried and true building method of just putting down parts until they look good, but I do think this is going to make the hole look much more realistic. I got a bunch of yellow studs and I'm connecting them together with rounded 1x2 plates to create wires. The reason I'm using studs is so that I can bend each one of them slightly so it looks like the broken wire is drooping down out into the hole when I flip the bridge around. Now that I have those wires in, I need to add some in the same spot but at the end of the bridge for continuity's sake. Now to fix the back of the bridge. I gotta cover up that filler, and that extra one stud of length will hang over the pipes slightly, making them look even more like they run under the bridge, which is perfect. It's funny how making that mistake of leaving the plate exposed earlier on was actually a big plus in the long run. If I hadn't done that, I would have had to have moved the entire wall of brick with the pipes backwards one stud, which would have been a whole thing. The last thing to add is a patch of snow. I haven't done this enough. I keep forgetting the snow detailing in this mock for some reason, and I wanted to add in some snow now so I could save myself some dark bluish gray tile. Now this is a bridge. I always love seeing how a few small changes can make such a big difference in a build. The hole looks so much better, and the tapering rows of regular and wedge plate make it look much rougher and more damaged, and less like something took a clean bite out of the bridge. I did leave some of the wedge plates stacked together because I wanted the floor of the bridge to still look fairly thick. I added some random 1x plate in to act as rebar or other pieces of metal poking out and kind of drooping. I really like the pop of color the broken wires add to the bridge as well. I might have made them a little bit too long, but I just wanted to make sure they were noticeable. This is another solid patch of snow, although there are some gross yellow pieces in it. Maybe some of the Galactic Marines just couldn't wait until they found a bathroom, I don't know. Snow has been something that's hard to add because I don't want to blanket everything with it, but the amount I'm currently adding to the bridges isn't enough. The nice thing is I can always add in more snow later since I don't need to integrate any snow into the foundation of the bridges right now. So I'll probably just wait until it's all done and then go back over the top of the bridge and add in more snow patches of varying sizes. Plus, I don't want them to get in the way of wiring the lights and adding debris. All in all, this first section is shaping up nicely. The next thing I need to do is design the big light posts that are going to light this bad boy up. It's crazy how long this update took me to make. It's been almost a full week of building all for two things: a tunnel and a chunk of a bridge. I did not expect the bridge to take up that much time and energy, but hopefully the next sections will come together much quickly because I kind of already have a basis for how I'm going to design them and figured out how I'm going to make those giant holes. Next week, I'm going to start work on the support pillar for the main bridge, but this one's going to be a lot cooler because I'm going to add a maintenance platform that will potentially be ambushed by climbing droids. But you'll have to tune in next week to see what goes down. All that being said, that wraps up this update. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to let me know what you thought about everything down below in the comments, and I will catch you next time. But until then, happy building.